I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come. Let anyone who is thirsty come, because the work of the cross is done. Drink freely from the water of life. The way and truth is Jesus Christ. He sent an angel to present this revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven. This revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come.
right, welcome everybody. We're here live tonight. Really good to be with you. Oh, my voice. Hang on. All right, there we go. Wonderful. Wow. Okay. Yeah, how's everybody doing? We're doing good tonight. Thank you for being with us. And it is Tuesday night, so we're glad to be here with you and be sharing with you what's going on and what is not going on. All right. So really good to see you, hear you, see you there. All right, people checking in tonight. Thank you for that. Let me know that you're there. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, trying to get straight down here. Um, yeah, all right. Okay, I got it turned off. Thank you very much for that help. I got it. Wow. Okay, there's all kinds of things to talk about. What we're going to talk about exactly, I don't know right now. But you got anything on your mind? Anything you want to know about? Anything that we might be able to help you understand? You can do that. Everything I know of right now is centered around Iran and the U.S. economy. So maybe if we talk about the U.S. economy being affected by Iran, you'll start praying for it a little bit more. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you're already praying for it. Maybe you're just praying hours. I don't know. Maybe you're praying effectively for 5 minutes and getting the job done. Whatever it is, hallelujah. It's really good. So good to be here tonight. And yes, I got the music off. Thank you, Jesus, for that. All right. So if anybody has anything they want to ask about what's happening or about what's not happening, and gas prices are up, but Trump's doing little things, so we're concerned about our economy a little bit. Some people a whole lot, but it's all going to be fine. It's just a matter of this process of what we're going through right now is very, very delicate and very important to understand what is happening. And that's what we're here for. We talked about a little bit last night, and we may talk about it again. I may talk about it 100 times. I really don't know. We'll see, because I want to make sure people understand it. Um, so our economy is definitely affected by this. This is something that we warned about a long time ago. I'll talk about that a little bit tonight, I think, just so you can kind of know that the Lord is on top of this thing, and He's given us ideas on how to deal with it. And yeah, all right. People are sending messages tonight. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we're doing all right. Yeah. Anybody having any fear issues about things? What's happening? If you've been listening to the show a little bit, and if you believe in the word of the Lord, then you should be doing pretty good with a lot of it. Although I know sometimes it can creep up on you for sure. So if anything's creeping up on you, let me know. We want to help pray over that. There's several things I want to talk about tonight. I'm going to start off. I'm not sure exactly. Um, we'll see what happens here. Yeah, okay. Get instant text a bit here. All right. So very, very, very good. Very good. Things are going really good. Things are really good in my opinion. Things are going really, really good. Um, kind of give you an update on Iran. I talked about this a little bit last night, but they're actually doing actually setting up a new government right now as we speak. They're doing it in smaller cities. The news is going to tell you all kinds of things, but I know you know, I don't have personal contacts with people on the inside, but I have inside information that's pretty inside, and so I know what's happening. And the prince uh, Reza Pahlavi is actually going into action about setting up his government and the people there for the transition. So that's happening right now, and really, really interesting to see how that's going. What does that have to do with us? A whole lot, a whole lot. As you can tell, everything that's going on with Iran is really affecting everybody right now. It's affecting the whole world. Not really that bad, but if it persisted, people would get nervous, right? If it persisted, um, if gas prices stay up, if the price of oil stays up, which means the gas price stays up, it could cause some temporary issues. But as far as what I see happening, that is not going to happen. And there's going to be a lot of threatening going on, a lot of stuff happening. But you just have to hang on to the word of the Lord to know that God is involved in all this, as I've shared with you already several times. For those who haven't heard it for the first time, we spoke words about this very thing happening, not necessarily about the economy specifically going up because of oil prices and the Strait of Hormuz. We didn't talk specifically about that, but we did talk about a strategy that our enemies have, enemy nations, China, Russia, and Iran, as now Iran is turning, that they had a plan to take over as much of the globe as they could. And so you can see kind of how that could happen with what we're going through right now. It's not just when we talked about this several months ago. I gave explicit details on what if the dollar went down 6 months before our new system is set up for September 2026. The Texas and the Trump Genius Act, all that going into action, which is going to be actually in action in September of this month of this year. And my greatest fear was that China and Russia and Iran, before Iran went down, would pull off this thing of trying to get the dollar to go down, way down, before we had our system intact to catch it, the net. If you've heard me talk about this before, I talk about the net that we have to catch it. And that is what Trump and Texas have done with their bullion, Texas bullion, and the debit card depository, the bullion depository thing set up with Trump's Genius Act, which worked together to make this thing not only for Texas, but for the United States and really the globe, along with Elon Musk, which we've been talking about this for a while. So I know some of you are repeating this, but some have never heard it before. So there you go. And but my greatest fear was that China and them would push us off the edge. Not that it would totally destroy us, but it would give China an advantage, and Russia and the old Iran an advantage to working to take over as much as they can, just like Trump right now is taking over as much as he can. Right? You're going to watch him. They're going to be working fast. We're going to see a lot of things happen quickly because there's a thing going on. Like, okay, we need to gather together the countries, not just the cities, right? But the countries around the globe that will be in line with us, that will agree with us, and be part of our system. Because we already know it's going to be global, but how much global, how thick of a global community will we have, is we don't know that yet. That is what is in action right now. They've taken Venezuela and looking at Cuba and different things, and Iran is the head snake of all that, the octopus, the head of all of it, and its tentacles are all over the world. It's probably one of the biggest issues that we've had with China and Russia together. So, talking about that again, the reason I want to talk about that tonight is because what we're seeing before us is the very thing that I feared. Though I know that with what Trump is doing, he's going to keep it from happening. But the fear that I had, as I've talked about here on the show several times, several months ago, given details of how China and Russia would push the dollar over the edge and cause it to go down. Well, that's kind of what's happening right now. Even though the dollar at this point is looks like it's doing better because of the crisis that we have, so people are getting back into the dollar right now, which makes the dollar strong. But the problem we have is inflation because oil prices are really high. So those two things together, the dollar being up good, and oil being high or gas being high, means that it creates inflation. And then if it keeps going on for several months, you can't see the inflation right now. It's not going to show up for a couple of months. They will be able to rate it and give a good reading on it for a couple of months. But in a couple of months, you'll see that inflation will be down, even if the dollar looks like it's up. But what is causing and could cause, it's not going to do it, but we're going to see it come real close to my fear that I had of China and Russia pushing us over the edge and bringing the dollar down. And this right here with that's happening with Iran, the reason you need to be praying about it, it's going to affect your money, honey. It's going to affect what side of the system that you're on. I mean, and you're going to see that real soon. If you go back and listen to those shows that we did several months ago, I gave much detail on what if it happens 6 months before our new system kicks in. What if it happens tomorrow and we don't have any more time? I gave scenarios for what would have to happen, what China would be trying to do, what Russia would be trying to do, because they'll be joined together to try to take down the United States and take over the United States, which is their goal. So again, as we talked about last night, so the dollar is the big thing right here, right now. And the reason that it's a big thing right here, right now, is because, like I said, I mean, I'm going to try to share this the best I can. Just because the U.S. dollar is better, it's better off right now. The Iran situation, mainly the oil situation, is benefiting the U.S. except for gas prices. They are higher, and we combat higher gas prices with our own oil reserves. We're going to try to do that, but the thing um, is that because gas prices are going up right now, and so is the value of the dollar, which is you'd think that would be good, but what happens is it creates inflation, and if that can persist for at least a couple of months, a full 2 months, then we're going to see some inflation. Depends on how high oil goes. If oil goes to from you know up to 100, if it goes up to, I got it right here somewhere. Uh, if it goes up to $130 a gallon, I mean a barrel, 120 to $130 a barrel. Right now, it's pretty close to that. If it persists at that, that's going to cause inflation to rise to 4.5 to 5% in the next few months. It's not going to show up right now. You can't. If you look it up right now, it's 2.7, I think, which is not that bad. 2 is normal. So we're looking at the price of oil per barrel, and if it ends up being 130 to maybe even 140 dollars per barrel, then we're going to look at some real scary inflation, which can, if it persists, it could cause uh, a stagflation. Am I saying it right? Okay, hang on. So let me get my right notes up here so I can make sure I get it. I'll give you explain it wrong. Yeah, stagflation. Didn't sound right when I said it. Okay, so we have so prices go up and they stay that way. And if it goes up to 120 to 130 to 140 uh, dollars per barrel, which is heading that way right now. Trump kind of helped it a little bit in the last few days, but if it did that, a strong dollar plus high gas prices equals high inflation. Together, they create a stagflation trap where the purchasing power of the dollar shrinks, even though it is technically worth more against other currencies. So you have to understand this, and I'll be trying to explain it a little more so we can show you what China's and Russia's strategy was to do the very thing that could happen in the next couple of months. It's not going to happen, But this is showing you, if you listen to those shows, you are able to have time to pay attention to that we talked about this very strongly. And so right now we have a real threat heading towards stagflation, and it's a trap. It's the highest level of damage to the dollar, which is what China and Russia want, and also uh, Iran. It's not down all the way yet, but it's down pretty far, and they're still using the Strait of Hormuz to cause these problems. Which is, I didn't know what China's strategy would be with, along with Russia and Iran, the old Iran. But this, you can see it right here. They're kind of putting it into action right now by stopping up the Strait of Hormuz. You know the ships that go through right now. The only ships that go through right now are very high level Muslim friendly ships and China ships. The China ships are able to go through. Yeah, I don't know if you know that or not. So China, so you can see it right here. China and Iran, even still at this point, the IRGC, they're working together to let the China ships go through where their oil is not affected like our oil, right? And other nations that they don't like. So you can see that right there. If you do a study on this or you do some research on it, you find out what I'm telling you is exactly right. And stagflation is what we have a high potential of having in the next couple of 2 or 3 months. And so, even though the dollar will be, looking like it's better, yet at the same time, because of oil prices, we could create a thing called high inflation, which is stagflation, and it's a really wild thing. So, but I'm telling you, it's not going to happen because the because of the word of the Lord, number one, and number two, you can see that they are working together to deal with this, and I believe that they're going to make it. I really do. So, so, uh, so the economies are facing a stagflation is on the way to a face looking at that right now. A combination of high inflation, slow growth, and weakening labor markets. And if the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to curb inflation, they risk causing an economic crash right now. And if they cut rates to boost growth, inflation could rise further. So it's a trap. It's called the stagflation trap. It's really a trap because when you try to go either way, you can still mess up. So it becomes a trap. Literally becomes a trap. So this is the very thing that I have been very very concerned about. That I was upset because I had someone let me know they heard me when we say that. So we got at least one confirmation. We got a whole series on that information, by the way. That that I was very concerned that China and Russia would push us off the ledge, and that the dollar would fall. We would have this stagflation thing before uh, our new system is set up, and it's only going to be starting being set up. It's going to go into action on September 2026, which is still a few months away. So we have some things to pray about. The word of the Lord is going to come to pass. We will see Iran Iran regime be brought down as the word of the Lord was a year and a half ago or so. So we will see that. I know that. I don't have to pray about that. Well, what I want to pray about is what goes on, that we pray that stagflation and all the stuff that going on with the Strait of Hormuz doesn't cause us a bunch of extra problems that we don't need. And so that's what I want to pray about is mainly that. So put that on your prayer list. And if you need me to explain it again, I will. I'm not sure I'm saying it clear enough. I'm saying it. I'm along with my notes. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss out anything. So did you hear that about the Federal Reserve? If the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to curb the inflation, they risk causing an economic crash. If they cut rates to boost growth, inflation could rise further. That's why it's called the stagflation trap. Okay, does that make sense? The money illusion is that an eroding purchasing power. That's the problem. While the dollar is strong, high inflation reduces the purchasing power of households. Even if wages rise, they often do not keep up with the increased cost of living, leading to a money illusion where people feel richer in nominal terms, but are poor in real terms. In other words, in real life, their money's not going very far. Their dollar is not going far. They may have a lot of dollars, but they having to spend a lot more money. That's what we would need to pray about. Is that because this is all really the main issue here to get past a lot of small details is to go right to the point here. Is the big problem here is the thing that I've been very concerned about is the stagflation issue. Right. So once we hit that, that's going to be that's going to present a problem, and so that's what we don't want to get. We want to pray that nothing really bad goes wrong while we're trying to get our new system, our brand new system that's been passed by law, it goes into action September 2026. Um, so that's still what have we got? About 6 months. So we got 6 months to do 5 to 6 months to do a lot of praying. Not that Iran will the regime will be taken down and be taken over by they're already doing that. That's already happening. It's not being talked about in the news because they're not going to talk about it in the news. It makes them look like they're failing with their agenda that they want Iran to be. They want Iran to win, but Iran is losing really, really big time. They're very desperate right now, and so they're making a lot of fear problems going on. Hello, Prophet Randy. Pray for me, Shalonda. Okay, Shalonda. Thank you for letting me know that you're there. Okay, thank you for that. All right. You can also call in if you'd like. You can call into the show and listen. I don't know how you're listening exactly, Shalonda. If you're listening at all, maybe you're not listening. Maybe I'm not going to go there right now. I'm not going to get distracted with that. We'll get back with that later. Shalonda, thank you for letting me know you're there. And so what we have here is a possible thing that I feared the most. Uh, you know, so it looks like we're going to make it. It could be tough, but because this is the very thing that China and Russia want to happen to the U.S., is that we have this stagflation thing kick in. So we already had the process heading that direction, but it's going to have to be pretty persistent. It's going to have to be pretty strong. That's why Trump pulled that little thing today about saying him and Iran are meeting. They're having some great talks, and they might let them. They might really come up with a great deal. I don't know how much of a bull that it is, but it was mainly a strategy to do the very thing that I'm talking about here tonight because he's hearing from all of his people that what I'm saying here tonight is what's rolling in. This is what's rolling in. Like I said, I do not believe it's going to stop us from doing what we're going to do. The system is already, thank God they passed the laws already and all that's going on. Believe me, China and Russia know that Texas and Trump are working together on the Genius Act and the Texas Bullion Depository with the debit card. They already know we're doing that and that we have the potential to put it around the globe, which is going to give them fits. Really going to give them fits. So they will be working any way they can to stop the U.S. from making it past stagflation and getting into our new system. And then we have to spend about a year, or at least till May the 7th. May of 2027 before it's worked through. That's January, February, March, April, May. That's 5 months into 2027 before we have it, fully activated. So this is not telling you, y'all. I mean, I don't know how many of you have been listening closely, but if you've been listening closely, you know that what's happening right now is the very thing I talked about 4 or 5 months ago in details, without knowing about how they were going to do it exactly or how it could happen through the Strait of Hormuz. Did not know that. Did not think about that. And gas prices going through the roof. I knew they have a strategy, or they are hoping for something to be worked where they can make the dollar crash or make the U.S. economy crash before we're ready for it. Does anybody hear me? I don't even know if anybody's getting that or not, but I'm sure they are. So So I could go on. There's a lot of information I could talk about right now. I think a lot of it would be interesting to you because it doesn't really make a lot of sense to talk about it. Uh, yeah, the dollar is gonna create a false security. Uh, it's gonna act like a safe haven investment. However, this oil shock paradox thing means that rising inflationary oil uh, prices and conflict actually strengthen the dollar while simultaneously causing misery for consumers through high energy and good prices. In summary, the most damaging part is that the high value of the dollar is failing to bring down domestic prices, creating a situation where households suffer from both high prices and a weakening labor simultaneously. Okay, Tanisha says we hear you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know you hear me. I know you guys are out there. I can see different, we have different places that we have out, but I see you. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, so it's all good. But there's so much information I could give you. I'm trying to give you the things that since we're none of us are economists, right? None of us are economists. None of us, if I read a lot of this stuff that I have, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. It wouldn't make a lot of difference because it just doesn't. It's just kind of hard to explain it in simple terms. And I think I did it pretty simple. I can understand that one. Yeah, and so I'm starting to learn about a lot of things. But okay, so all right, where do I go from here, man? Wow, where do I go from here? I don't know. Okay, so um, okay, all right, let's do this. Okay, there you go. All right. Anything? Anybody have any questions on any of that? I mean, I'm just telling you that the warnings that we gave 3 or 4 months ago in details, minus the Strait of Hormuz, and I did not know how it was going to happen. But this is the perfect scenario. I mean, oil prices going up like crazy, and if they continue, that's why Trump pulled his little thing today. As I said earlier, he pulled this little thing. Oh, me and Iran were talking. That's the only reason he did that, or not the only reason. The main reason that he did that was to cause the markets to settle down a little bit because he knows what I know right here. He knows this. I mean, this is some pretty serious stuff. And to anybody who understands all this knows exactly where that's heading, and that is not good. But I'm telling you, I believe I don't know how close we're going to get to that. I can't tell you that, but I am telling you that we have a new system in gear. Thank God for President Trump and Texas, our Governor Abbott, for thinking ahead and putting it together as quickly. They got it in 2025. They had it done in 2025. Now, you know, so that was really a big thing for them to do to prepare us for this major operation that's going on. So we have quite a paradox happening here. And so it's going to be quite a little deal. If inflation goes up to 4.5 to 5.0 in the next few months, it'll be because gas has been persisting. Uh, the the oil has persisting to stay up. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out how much I need to discuss with you tonight to give you a view of what's actually happening here. Uh, Okay, I'm trying to find some more information. I've got so much information here. I'm trying to find out what I can get you that you will understand. It'll be simple to get. Um, okay, okay. All right. So I hope that I think I got it. I think I got enough for you for now for that. To let you know that we had in detail talked about this several months ago. That when you see things in the spirit, it's kind of hard to. Then you have to put it into everyday language, and that's what makes it. You have to find the way to bring it into real life, whether it can be so that people can get it. Um, yeah. So yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me find. I got some information here somewhere about. I think I have two different computers, so sometimes I put it on both computer and then I don't get them transferred over to both. Let me do this. Um, why is that doing that? I don't understand. Little rascal. Computer keeps messing with me a little bit. Of course, it's stabilized. Okay, here we go. Hang on a second. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, so let's go here for this gas thing. I want to talk about the gas thing for a minute. Um, okay, here we go. I got it. All right, let me see if I can. I didn't send this for some reason. I do not know why exactly. Okay, here we go. I think I got it now. I didn't send it. Oh, I have to recover it first. There we go. Okay, there we go. Got it. Okay, now I think I can send it. Send it to the computer that I can read. There we go. I think I got it now. Thank you, Jesus. There we go. Okay, because I have some specific information here I wanted to share. Uh, okay. Okay, we'll do this for now. And okay, here's some specific information I wanted to give you guys. Um, so, if the key impacts of $130 per barrel oil, which we're heading that direction, we were heading that direction. If we continue to head that direction, if we go to 130, 140, they're thinking $200 per barrel. They're saying that it could go there, which would be a lot. But I'm going to look at 130 to 140. Uh, so that would cause gas prices to go up from 4.50 per gallon to $6 per gallon. Some people have talked about even on Facebook, I think. Um, so so if it goes to $130 per barrel, inflation, that's going to cause this stagflation thing to, we're going to ride on the edge of it. And so 130 to $140 per barrel, not per gallon, but per barrel. When that happens, you're going to see it's going to get a little bit scarier. But so we have talked about the crash, but this is not the kind of crash that I now know that we're looking at. We're looking at the dollar crash and some other things too. But the dollar crash is really the main thing that I'm looking at right now, because that's what's already given us some issues here. So uh, okay, as of March 2026, Brent crude oil prices have reached or approached $130 a barrel due to escalating tensions in the Middle East and threats to shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. That's already been happening. So I don't know where it's at. Like right now, this very moment, somebody might can check and see how much oil is per barrel. But the Brent BRENT crude oil prices have reached or approached $130 a barrel due to the Middle East thing, the Strait of Hormuz. Um, so, all right. So if it reaches 130 to 140, uh, then, and if it persists for a couple of months, then we are going to have to really pray, because we got to keep this thing under uh, under God's hand. So we know Iran is going. It's going to happen with Iran. But if it gets drug out, sometimes the foolish virgins and the wise virgins, right? You have to prepare for things when there's a delay. And if you don't prepare for delay, you're going to get caught messed up. You're going to be caught needing money. You're going to be caught going in the hole. You're going to be caught begging, stealing, lying, cheating, possibly. Maybe like if you really get low. So that's what that creates. It creates desperation. And when people get desperate, they act crazy and do crazy things, and then things just go worse to worse to worse to worse to worse. So the foolish virgins they didn't prepare for delays, right? And there was delays. So we could have a little bit of a delay. I don't even know what a delay would be with this thing. They're saying 45 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks now, maybe, to finish off the war with where they're at on it. And if that happens, that could be a little bit of a delay, but not bad. But if we have a delay, then so what we need to pray, we know that the word of the Lord is Iran regime is going to go down, but it's what happens between now and then, right? That's what we need to pray about. We don't need to pray about whether the regime goes down; it's going down, and you can pray about that if you want to. But it's the word of the Lord, so it's already prepared and ready. It's going to be done. We need to start praying that the in between phase doesn't mess with our economy enough to cause people some real problems. That's what we don't want. Because if you're already running low and you're already desperate and you're already out there begging, and I'm not talking about our people, I'm just talking about any people in general, and I'm talking about PGM people so much, although maybe a few of them. So if you're doing that, then you could be having a problem pretty soon, right? You could be having a problem because if you're not prepared and ready, then you could get knocked down. You could get knocked down. So people that are prepared and ready for delays are not going to get knocked down. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to get knocked down. I will not get knocked down because I've been prepared for this. I'm literally prepared. And I've told a bunch of other virgins to get their house in order and get a job, go to work, do whatever you got to do, because this is you may think that you got all this faith and all this stuff, but if it's not working for you, then with what's about to happen, what could happen in the next 3 to 4 months, even the 5 months, 6 months, you may find yourself in some deep doo doo because you haven't been obeying God. You've been rebelling against the word of the Lord, and I'm not talking about necessarily our PG people, though we have a few doing that too. But but if you've been not been being wise, you may end up having to go buy some oil, and that could cause you to miss your breakthrough, and that would be really sad. So if you didn't prepare, it may be a little bit late now. So I'm just be honest with you. But if you've been preparing, been faithful to God, then you will probably make it through. And some are going to make it through with flying colors. Some are going to just they're going to come out with maybe much of nothing, but they'll at least they're going to be saved. That's about it. So this is a test for the future. So if you've been playing around, messing around, acting like you've got faith and acting like you got everything together, and you really don't, and you're a foolish virgin, then you are headed for some stuff. You need to get that right as soon as possible, because I mean it's just not going to be good at all for you. All right. So I'm just going to be really blunt with you and really honest with you. I'm not going to play little games with you and treat you like you need to be petted and all that. I'm not going to do that. All right. So I'm going to tell you the truth, and you need to jump on it as soon as possible. All right. So there you go. Right. Yeah, inflation is currently the primary factor that's messing us up in this scenario of the what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz. This is exactly what we uh, didn't need, but it's going to be part of the process, and depends on how long this is delayed. If we have a delay here, some people are really if they're not wise virgins and they haven't been prepared and they've been barely making it and not going out there and working and doing whatever, getting a job. If you got ministry, you do like I did for years. I did a job and I did for years, and finally one day the Lord said, "Go for it," and I did, and I never had to ask for anything. Never had to ask for anything. And so, because God provides, not that I always had everything I needed, everything I wanted, but I say I had everything I needed, but not everything I wanted. But God brought me through it, and so I'm just here to tell you the truth, friend. I'm not going to lie to you and play little games with you. I'm just going to tell you this ought to shake your little boots up, and you need to get your little fanny in gear and start getting right with God about lining yourself back up with Jesus, or else. And then we'll all watch you floating down the river, without much trying to help you, because we did try to help you. I'm talking about a lot of different people, not just PG people. We tried to help you. We tried to warn you. We tried to say, get it straight, get it lined up. Let's go. Quit playing around. And so a lot of people just didn't listen. And so, all right. So we'll just pray for those people that they will get things right, and hopefully not before it's too late. All right. Because just being nice and trying to be friendly, it's not gonna get it. You got to be a wise virgin, a wise virgin. If you didn't prepare for this, if you're not ready for this, you will not. You will be going to buy your own oil, and that's not good. So, okay. You want me to give you some positive thinking stuff? I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to show you the truth because I love you. And all right, so we're getting closer to the time, and I don't know what else I want to talk about tonight. I got so much to talk about, but I think I've pretty well gotten you for the most part what you need tonight. Uh, so we have a strong dollar right now. which is the opposite of what I've been telling people, but it's not really the opposite. It looks the opposite, but it's not. Because if you do research on this, a strong dollar plus high gas prices equals high inflation. So right now, though it's not registered, it won't be registered for a couple of months. You can't see what inflation is doing, except if you know how this works. The dollar is becoming stronger. That's why gold's been going down a little bit. Now gold's going to turn back around and go up, way up. But right now we have a strong dollar. That's not going to last long. And the strong dollar is going to, with high gas prices, is going to create high inflation. Together, those two things create, again, stagflation. It's a trap. And Trump has been trying to get the feds to do things. And right now, once that trap sets in, if they go a little bit too far the wrong way, it'll cause a crash. It will cause a crash. Okay, do you understand that? I'm going to read it to you again. I got it right here in my notes. Uh, the stag the stagflation trap is the highest damage. The economy faces the risk of stagflation, a combination of high inflation, which we're heading toward. It could go up and down and up and down. Slow growth and weakening labor markets. If the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to curb inflation, they risk causing an economic crash. Right? You hear that? This is reality. This is if they cut rates to boost growth, inflation could rise further. Then the money illusion steps in because people think they got their dollars up or doing good, but you used to have, if you had $100, you could buy everything for $100. Now you got $100, you're going to buy everything. You're going to buy $50 worth of stuff for $100. When I'm just saying as an example right now, let's say you could buy $100 worth of groceries for $100. If that happens, you'll be buying $100 worth of groceries, $50 worth of groceries for $100. Right, and so we've already been having trouble with that. So the delay here, even though while the dollar is strong, the money illusion thing. While the dollar is strong, high inflation reduces the purchasing power of households. Even if wages rise, they often do not keep up with the increased cost of living, leading to a money illusion where people feel richer in nominal terms but are poorer in reality. Right? So they look like they got a lot of money, but they really don't. So that's what we warned about, and the great fear that I had 3 4 months ago, and talked about it on the show. I felt like constantly. Uh, so now we're seeing, you can, when you see, this is a reality. This is not, I'm not making this stuff up. This is a reality. It's not funny, but it is funny. It's wonderfully scary to me because I've been talking about this stuff for a while in detail, and have experts who say if this happens and that happens, that what I feared would happen could happen. So that's what we have going on right now. The thing is that it may delay and it may put a lot of pressure on a lot of people who are foolish virgins. The wise virgins are going to be okay because they have prepared for a delay when other people are living penny to penny, dollar to dollar, and so it's going to, depends on how long the delay is. It's the same wise, foolish virgin scenario. You go read that and pray over it and pray that you're not a foolish virgin because many of people are. And I've been talking about this really straight lately to help people get ready. So here we are, it's upon us, heading that direction. Uh, so the delays could put a lot of pressure on foolish virgins. The wise virgins are going to be fine, but we will break through and enter in. There's no question about it. I already know that. I know where I'm going, and I know what's happening. But for everybody else, you can only tell them so many times, and that's why they're called foolish virgins, because you tried to tell them over and over again, and they were not able to hear it because they were stubbornly believing that they got faith and we can buy whatever we want, do whatever we want, and it's all gonna be fine by faith. And their faith wasn't real faith; it was fake hyper faith, and therefore all of it's gonna go up in smoke. Uh, so you need to pray mercy on yourself and believe God, this stark reality is closely upon us. Now, the thing is that it's not going to go all the way because I have a word of the Lord on it that it's not going to happen, right? Uh, yeah. So number one, we had a Nineveh. Nineveh didn't change everything, but it changed some things for good, but still heading toward the end of the end times. That's what has not changed. Is we are still heading for the end of the end times. In fact, maybe faster than before because what's going on in Iran, it's just really picking up the speed. That's all I can say. When that temple starts being built here soon, you might as well, if you're not prepared for that, if you think you're going to be taken out or something and you're not, it's going to be. You got to think about it like this: people who are pre-trib and mid-tribbers, uh, we love them all. They're dedicated to Jesus. They love God. There's no question about it. The teachers who teach it love God. The deception around with them is really devastating because here's how I think about it: to feel them, to feel how the people are going to be who are pre-trib and mid-tribber rapture people, is that it's like having a mother, like my mother. Let's say my mother was here. I'm living with her. She's 70 years old. She's believed in the pre-tribulation rapture all of her life. She's heard John Hagee say over and over again, "Don't worry, when the trouble hits the fan, we're going to be up in the sky, out of here." And pre-trib, rapture, pre-trib, rapture, pre-trib. So you got to imagine watching my own mother. Let's say she was here, 70 years old, pre-trib, rapture person all the way. I'm not, right? I'm telling her, but she can't hear it because I know those men of God, those were men of God, and they would never lie to me. And so pretty soon she finds out that everything she's believed is not happening. So how do you think that is going to affect her being 70 years old or whatever age it is? I'm just trying to use it as an example. This is how I fit into their shoes. I picture this in my mind, what my mother's going to go through and what I'm going to have to be dealing with is a mother who's saying she lived with me and I'm having to deal with her emotional realm of freaking out because if she missed that, did God still love her? Did everything she have a lie? Is she believed the lie? How many other lies does she believe? And she's going to be going through this emotional trauma, and I'm going to have to be here dealing with it, helping her get through it. And she may make it, and she may not. She'll go to heaven, but she's not going to be able to be used by God. But she's spending too much time freaking out, trying to figure out how many lies she's listened to, and can God bring her through it? Yeah, but he won't be able to use her much in the kingdom because she's not prepared for it. People live this lie. Oh, it doesn't matter. You don't have to prepare for anything. God will make a way for it. Yeah, I think He'll make a way to help them, but they're not going to be able to be used by God. They're going to be dwindling away with fear and having a lot of emotional trauma things to deal with because they were not prepared. Preparation isn't. Oh, I might go. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go through the tribulation. I'm almost positive I'm gonna get out of here. Just that alone doesn't even open you up for preparation. So when it finally hits the fan, you're sitting there going like, oh my God, my whole world's falling apart, and you gotta have to live with that. Just think if we had multiple millions of people with that same thing all over the globe, all ages. Think about that. And the mid-trib comes along, they'll get taken out of mid-trib, and they're sitting there going like, "Well, I was told to do that, and I believe it." And they're going to be freaking out, man. They're going to be freaking out. We're going to try to tell them God's going to comfort them. They're going to think that I'm lying to them because they believed a lie from those wonderful preachers that they loved so much and gave so much money to. Here's my thinking for all those preachers. You want to know what I think about what I hope happens to them? To these pre-tribber, mid-tribber, mainly pre-trib, but mid-trib also, preachers and books and all the money they made off those books. I'd like to have all the people that bought those books that now realize it was all a lie, to send them to Texas and let's have a big bonfire that would be like a big mountain of books worth millions and millions and millions of dollars that paid those preachers' bills, maybe bought them a car to drive around in for the ministry, of course, and whatever else they needed. And we got all that piled up in a big pile here out in the country in Texas. It's a mountain. It's so high, it's like a big mountain with books of pre-trib and mid-trib rapture theories that now people realize it was all a lie. They were deceived. They were duped. They send me their books. I pile them out there and I light them on fire. And then I get a video of the whole thing, and you can hear the demons screaming in the books. We deceived you. You were put to sleep by us. I'm not a very good demon, but you hear what I'm saying. Because the demons are going to be screaming out of those books because they're going to be on fire. It's going to cause this situation where the people are going to hear the demons screaming, and all the money that went in that paid those preachers' bills for those lies and deceptions, all that money that they spent, all of a sudden it's going to burn up in the pockets of those that they paid for their bills, and all of a sudden they're going to look at the people who paid their bills, who they paid their bills to with all that money, as all of a sudden that money is going to be, they're going to look in their account and say, "You never paid your bill." No, we paid our bill with the books, the pre-trib rapture books. We sold millions of those. We movies, we sold CDs. No, we made millions and we paid it. Well, all of a sudden, our accounts are showing, our books are showing that you never paid any of it. What happened? It just kind of happened like overnight. Well, Chandler was over there burning all the books up, and when he burned the books up, and all the demons screaming in those books about how, oh, we got you, yeah, you're burning. Yeah, so anyway, so when don't ask me how I get these ideas. It's just crazy, right? So this, as the bonfire burns, the money, this is a supernatural thing that goes on. The money that they used to pay their bills and buy their house, all of a sudden, if they bought their house or their ministry building with those books being sold, all of a sudden they don't understand why. All of a sudden their house burned down and their cars burned up and their ministry buildings burned up, and they can't figure out what happened. And then all of a sudden the people calling them saying, "You didn't pay your bill. We have right here, it says you didn't actually pay your bill. You are now in debt with us for millions and millions of dollars. You better pay up or you're going to jail, buddy or sister." I'm sorry I'm doing this tonight, y'all. I just can't. This is just what goes through my brain sometimes. I'm just thinking, all the times that, do the movies too, exactly. Because the movies they made off of the money they made off that was like unbelievable. And so when they find out that they have a bunch of people who are not prepared and don't have to go buy oil, in other words, they're going to be uh, left without strength, without feeling, without emotions, that they didn't prepare for it. So they didn't. It's just like here's the example. Some people say you don't have to prepare because you got to take care of it anyway. Well, yeah, you're going to make it. You can make it through, but you're not going to be able to be used by God, which is going to be totally disgusting because you spent your whole life wanting to be used by God, but because you thought you would be taken out, you didn't have the strength because now you're just licking your wounds all the time, trying to make it through instead of helping people through it. You're needing money, you're needing that, you got all this stuff going on, you need psychological help, you need counseling, you need deliverance from demons that's those pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation rapture demons that deceived you. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely wild and crazy. And so, this is kind of what I see. I don't know. I doubt seriously that that's going to happen, but who knows? It could be very prophetic. I'm just making up stuff, actually. But the big problem is, y'all, is that these people are not going to be being used by God. Very few of them will be used by God at all. And maybe some of the younger ones who had less time to meditate on those false doctrines, will be able to come out of it a lot easier. But it's going to be difficult, especially for the older ones, the ones who've been believing all their life, and they've given all their money to buy all those books and all that stuff. It's just crazy. And I tell you, I see the way those people are going to be dealt with by God, if they don't repent, if they, whatever. I see the people. We're going to have some martyrs, right, during the Great Tribulation. I think some of the first martyrs are going to be some of these guys who preach this pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation rap. They'll come and get them first and hang them by the neck on TV, and we'll be sitting there watching them. Well, that poor person, I tried to tell him, you're going to be dealt with by God someday, and they're going to be hanging from the neck in public as the first martyrs of the tribulation, because they taught that stuff, and they kept being warned by people that it wasn't true, and they didn't listen, and therefore all the people that are suffering, they're the first ones who get tortured and martyred. That's going to be difficult. Now that's just my thinking. I'm not saying because I don't know, but you know, I mean, I've dealt with these people for years, and they are wholeheartedly, fanatics in that stuff. And so, anyway, there you go. So I think I'm getting carried away tonight. Maybe y'all need to pray for me. There's so much stuff goes on, man. I've been thinking about this lately because I know where it's all going to end, where it's all going to go, and those that are ready and prepared are going to be used by God mightily. We're going to be flowing with the two witnesses or something like that. We're going to be, doing whatever our ministry is, and it's going to be so supernatural, so powerful. And the provision we're going to see God have, because we're going to have two systems, which none of the pre-tribulation rapture people believe it, and the mid-tribs also, for the most part, don't believe in a two system, two systems that are going to be in the earth. They only believe in one, and you're going to either get your head chopped off, like John Hagee has said hundreds and hundreds of times. If you go through that, you're going to get your head chopped off, or you're going to starve to death, because we're all going to be out of here, but you're going to be left, and you're going to die of starvation because there's only one system. You got to take the mark to get money to buy food, which we're now seeing because of what Trump is doing, and God is using him. Another prophetic word that we gave that he is bringing to pass. God is using Trump to bring to pass. This is the third one. First one was the bombing of the nuclear sites. It's like an earthquake. When the bomb hit, it was like an earthquake. That's what I saw. I didn't know it was going to be a bunker busting bomb, but it's what it was. Came to pass. Who brought that to pass? God used Trump to do that, and Israel. The second thing is taking down the regime. The third thing is the second system, and that's all happening. Trump is doing all that, and so I know it's going to happen. And Trump and I are not buddies. I do not talk to him. I do not talk to any of his staff. I have my way of getting my information out, and so a lot of that's my business only. But I do not communicate. The CIA, the FBI, and Mossad, they don't give me information. We give them information. We give them information. They've never given me. I give them information. Some of it they know, some of it they don't. And they find out that it's true, or they thought that it was already gearing up for that. They go, "How did he know that?" Right? Just like I shared the strategy the last couple of nights. I think Thursday night and then last night I shared how that the strategy that China and Russia have is to. I don't want to use. I'm going to change the sleeper cells. I'm going to change it. The sleeper cells means like killing people. This is not necessarily their strategy of killing a bunch of people all over the United States and the world. Like one day clicking the button or flip the switch, and all their people go into action of taking down, any kind of energy we have. They have people designed specifically to take those things out, to take out our electricity, all of our grids, and other things too around the globe, not just in America, but around the globe. And that strategy has been their strategy for a long time. I don't want to call them sleeper cells. I'm sorry I used the word sleeper cells, but sleeper cells sounds like they're in your next door neighbors. But we're not talking about killing a bunch of people so much, although that will happen some. But mainly it is to deal with our economic system and the way we live every day with electricity, and that, believe me, their plans, they know exactly how to hit you hard. But that's why Trump is stopping this. That's why this is going on, and that's what this war is all about. And do not let them deceive you and think it's about anything else, because they will try to deceive you. So, yeah, we're learning a lot. Not everybody knows everything. I know things only because I get it prophesied to me, or the Lord speaks to me about it, and then I tell you guys. But we have warned you about that. That's something that nobody really did. I mean, they specifically had a strategy for a certain day or a certain week to activate this thing around the globe, and then cut off the streets of the Strait of Hormuz at the same time. But you can see what that's doing for the economy. Could you imagine if we wake up one day and all of our electricity's gone, all of our gas, we can't get gas, we can't travel, we can't go to work, can't buy and sell, we don't have internet. Could you imagine that, waking up one day and not having any of that stuff? That's basically, I don't know exactly detail their plan, but that's basically their plan. Anything that's your source, they're going to try to take it out in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, right? I exposed that Thursday night. That's not been known. I don't even know. I'm sure the CIA and the Mossad and the FBI know about that. I don't know. They don't tell me. I tell them. They don't tell me. Right? I give them information. They don't give me information. I don't need their information because what their information is maybe biased or whatever. So we give them information, and so because of that, you know, I've never revealed that strategy before. Never talked about it until 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah, now you know. And the reason I'm doing it now is, like I said earlier, because uh, Trump has pretty well got Iran on the run. It has had for a couple of weeks. They have them on the run. Now, is there going to be problems? Of course. Yeah. Is it all going to go perfect? No. There probably will be some delays. I don't know how much longer the delays will be. Hopefully, not too long. But we are prepared and ready. Our system will kick into action on September 2026, as we have discussed for what, about a year, about that, maybe less. I think June, July of last year. I think June. I think June of last year was when it came about that they put that in action. That's pretty quick for Trump just getting in 2025. So thank God for President Trump. You may not like him, but there's some things going on. He's fulfilling the word of the Lord. Three major words I know from this mouth. He's already fulfilled or is in the process of fulfilling it. So that to me tells me that the Nineveh thing was real, and you know, and this is, I really get upset when people jack around with what they think prophets do and what they don't do. They don't have a clue what prophets really do. They think it's all about you give a word, it comes back. You give a word, it comes back. Now, sometimes words provoke repentance. Sometimes words have no mercy to them for the purpose of bringing people down to their knees in real time, in a real live, real repentance, just like happened with Nineveh and also with Hezekiah. Just those two words right there, if you meditate on that without twisted sister messing with you, you'll find out that those two words, nobody ever really deals with what really happened with those two words. Those two words, most people don't even talk about what really happened with that. I mean, I had somebody, Dan, remember Dan from Florida? He came on the show and I said, are you trying to tell me that, because he was questioning my thing and I didn't mind, but are you trying to say that Jonah missed the timing on Nineveh? He said, yeah, he missed the timing. I'm going, what? I couldn't believe he said, yeah. And then I'm like, but it says the word of the Lord says in 40 days it shall be, brought down, overcome, overthrown. And you think he missed the date? That's what the Lord said, and he missed it. I mean, he actually said, yeah, he missed it, but it just shows you how crazy the thinking is that people don't even process those words without having Twisted Sister come in and say, well, it wasn't really a word from God. When it says, thus saith the Lord. Isaiah, the same thing. Thus saith, it was the word of the Lord. You're going to die. You're not going to recover. It's over for you, boy. I'm gone. Kiss it goodbye. Put your house in order, it says. But people don't even look at that. That means you're gone, dead. It's over for you. It's over. There was no, I'm going to wait outside the door, Hezekiah, while you get right with God. And if you get right with God the way you should, then God will tell me, and then I'll come and tell you it's fine. Now, he didn't say that. He just walked out and said, get your house in order, boy. It's over for you. You're done. Finality. Same thing with Nineveh. It will be overthrown. Not maybe, not, we're going to give you 30 days. No, there was nothing. He said, you got 40 days and it's going down. He didn't say if you get right, I'm going to stand and I'll go outside of Nineveh and pray for you guys that maybe you'll get something right. No, Nineveh, Jonah was ticked off because it didn't happen. So he believed it was going to happen and wanted it to happen. Don't tell me, people don't even read the word of God with purity anymore. They do what everybody else says, what my pure little, prophet told me, or my little pastor told me that now, anyway, I don't want to I better get really, I would like to go there right now because I really get into this stuff. But they don't understand the prophet word at all. It didn't come to pass, he ain't a man of God. Well, then Jonah wasn't a man of God, and neither was Isaiah. And they didn't even know for 15 years whether even that word was right. 14 years, he could have died. He could have lived to be into his 16th year. That would have been a false prophecy, right? But he already told him he's going to die. That's it. You're out. Kiss it goodbye, buddy. There was no hope in that. There was no thing of repentance. None. But yet people don't. They're afraid to say because they think it's going to give prophets an excuse to be wrong and not have to admit that they got something wrong when it has nothing to do with it at all. People are ignorant on prophets. You can't listen to them about that. You can listen to them about other things, but do not listen to them about that because they're totally ignorant. And I don't mean stupid, I mean ignorant. They don't understand the prophecy and the prophet realm. All they understand is what people told them. That really makes me, wow, I want to growl. And my wolf man wants to bark and bite. It really does. But there you go. Okay, so I'm going on and on here about that. But you have to understand that, uh, when somebody tells you it's over for you, if he's a prophet and he walks out, that means it's literally over for you. Well, but he repented. Yeah, but before that, it was over for him. There was no maybes or ifs. So people don't want to register that in their head. Now, he was gone. The prophet said it's finished for him. And Isaiah's walking out before God told him that, Hezekiah had turned his face to the wall and told God all the good things that he'd done, which is exactly what happened. And he wept bitterly. And God says, okay. Well, Isaiah's walking out. He's not waiting for God to tell him he changed his mind. It's already a final deal for him. He's walking out going like, well, let's see what next the king we're going to be anointing. Hezekiah has been unanointed. Yeah, it's over. He wasn't walking out thinking, now Jonah was afraid that God would change his mind, but he believed that he wasn't going to. That's why he got really mad. So people don't meditate on that. You need to meditate on that information. So when you get a word from God, you have to understand that, like Jonah, knew that God can change his mind and make him look bad. And he did look bad. He looked like a false prophet. Thank God Jesus talked about Jonah later and said, he talked about, he's talking about the great ones. He said, yeah, like Solomon, because was wise, but one wiser than him is here now. Solomon was great and he was wise, but Jesus said me, but I'm here and I'm greater than him. And then he said the same thing about Jonah, which tells you he said Jonah was great, but a greater one than Jonah is here. So Jonah was not a false prophet, and so Jesus highly regarded Jonah. Very few people did he mention as being great, and he mentioned that he was great. So yes, Anya says, since the beginning of time, God uses prophets. The problem is people don't understand the prophet realm. They don't understand that what prophet words do. Prophet words bring people down into a state of panic because they realize that the prophet never said anything about if you get it right with God, you're going to be fine. And that's the purpose of it, is to some people are so hard and so cold that you just have to go in and say, and it's not like you're making stuff up. You're going, it's over for you. You're not going to die, and you're going to die and you're not going to recover. You're finished. In other words, you gave him the double whammy. And then people go, well, he didn't really mean it. He didn't really mean the word of the Lord, didn't really mean it. What? What? Yeah. So, Isaiah walks out going, man, he's gone, man. Lord, are you going to show me who the next king is? He's already moving on to the next king. It doesn't say that, but I'm just thinking, I know what it's like. He's walking out. He was totally shocked when God says, okay, go back and tell him I give him 15 years. He goes back in there and says, wow, man, that was surprising. So was Isaiah a false prophet for saying that? Was he just using it? Was he just making up stuff? No, it was a thus saith the Lord. If that word did a work in Hezekiah, because it had no hope in it. There was no hope in that word. Sometimes prophets give words that have no hope in them for a reason, because hard-hearted, cold-hearted Nineveh, which was very hard-hearted and very cold, a bunch of murderers, a bunch of torturers, even of Jews. That's why one reason Jonah didn't like him. But he still said the word of the Lord. He didn't make up something. Well, 40 days, you got 40 days. Like he was making it up, like Dan said on the show, like you're on the show. Oh, no, I think you just missed the timing of it, Randy, like you did with Love It. Going like, you think that he missed the timing when it says, "Thus saith the Lord" in 40 days ago. Like that just shows you how crazy people's minds, our minds can go to trying to, you know, work around what it really means. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But you know, we do it. I've done it. We've all done it, right? You know, so we've talked about all this before. I'm not saying that he's the only one. You know, that's just what human beings do because we're human beings and we love all the human beings. We love all of them. That's how I learned to love myself because I realized that God loved me in spite of myself most of the time. Okay, so so I did a little research on Bin Laden. Y'all know who Bin Laden was? Bin Laden was the guy who masterminded the 911. Are y'all familiar with 911 a little bit? Um, Bin Laden was the one who did all that, right? So the Bin Laden strategy, when he struck the World Trade Center in New York, which is a total shock, you have to realize the strategies that these guys have. Bin Laden is very much like, you know, China and Russia. They think completely different. They think, you know, we're going to take over everything. We're going to take down America. Like for Bin Laden to even think he could have a chance to take down the World Trade Center was amazing. And look what Bin Laden did. This ought to tell you that Russia and China have their own little scheming ways, just like Bin Laden did. So Bin Laden, what he focused on? The World Trade Center, right? He could have struck it at night, but he didn't. He struck it during the day. He could have struck it at night because in the World Trade Center was a lot of global, uh, you know, banking systems and that kind of stuff. It was a very high level strategy because it contained uh, you know, a lot of global. Uh, it created global damage when it hit financial insurance companies, and then he hit you know, some of the let me see, what's this thing called? I'm trying to think. I've got all this written down in different ways. Are you going to give me a minute? I'm going to take just a little bit of a break here. I'll be right back. Okay. So give me just a moment. All right. I'll be right back. Let's play a little music. And okay. All right. Let's play this song here.
Jesus said to me in the purest of love, have a seat with me, watch the show from above. I'll show you everything you'll need to know, the places you're gonna go. You're no longer in the dark, on you is a brand new mark, set apart unto the Lord with a brand new heart. Seated with me is the victory now, my will you can't see, so get up and walk in what you now see. Seated with me in the heavenlies, seated with me in the heavenlies, seated with me in the heavenlies. Jesus said to me in the purest of love, have a seat with me. My Jesus said to me in the purest of love, have a seat with me and watch the show from above. I'll show you everything you'll need to know, the places you're gonna go. You're no longer in the dark, on you is a brand new mark, set apart unto the Lord with a brand new heart. Seated with me is the victory now, my will you can't see, so get my will you can see. So get up and walk in what you now see. Seated with me in the heavenlies. 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 You're not seated with me in the victory. No, my will you can see. So get up and walk in what you now see. Seated with me in the heavenlies. Seated with me in the heavenlies. Go! Heavenlies! Go! Thank you, Billy.
All right. I don't know if y'all want to talk about the Bin Laden thing for a minute. It kind of reveals how they strategize. I don't know if y'all want into this or not. Y'all want to take time to listen to this, or we can do it some other time. It's up to you. I have a lot of information to share. Basically, in a nutshell, what Bin Laden did was a shock to the United States, right? Everybody knows it was a really big shock. And because of that, the what he attacked and why he attacked it, right? And was very strategic. And so you see these guys think they plan for years and they think ahead strategically. And if you look into Bin Laden at all and what he did and how he did it, and how long he planned and how much money it took and blah 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 and on and on. And the strategies were amazing. That it fooled every intelligence agency. Nobody had a clue he was doing it. Nobody had a clue. So this is the same thing I'm saying that Russia and China have the same plan. I don't know exactly how they're going. They would have strategized it exactly precisely, but they're going to hit our financial institutions. They're going to hit our sources and resources somehow or another. That's what they had planned on doing. And so, just like Bin Laden, so when you think about Bin Laden and you see the reality of a person that did something in the United States that surprised everybody, we just woke up one morning and I was at work. I remember when I was in a high rise building when it happened. So when I was working at that place where we had the revival, and I mean, people were scared to death. I mean, my boss, who was a big, tall, great guy, and you know, he was like looking at me like, you got anything work for us, Randy? He didn't even like me before that because we were having a revival there. They didn't like, none of them liked it. Uh, not none of them, but a lot of the major people did not like it, but God did. So it was in a high rise building right when Bin Laden did all that. I mean, it was then they dug through it, found years of planning. Look at the damage that he did. Look at the fear that he brought. The whole thing ought to show us that these people plan long and take their time and spend lots of money to take America down. So this has been the plan of China and Russia for a long time, just like Bin Laden. And I've got all the details of all of it. I'll save it for later. Um, and so, it's just been, it's really, really, uh, it's just not a stretch of the imagination at all to think that when Bin Laden put that together to strike the World Trade Center, how we just woke up one day. This is what I'm saying, that China and Russia and Tehran or Iran have had uh, planned for a long time, and 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 I believe because the word of the Lord said in April and May of 2024 that the Iran regime was going down, and they were also going to attack. We also said at that time, this is before they hit the nuclear sites of Iran. We said those exact words: to get the nuclear sites in Iran, Israel. It's going to be like an earthquake going on. I didn't know it was going to be Trump. I didn't have a clue what it was going to be. It all happened. It all happened. So people that try to ignore me, and that's what people do. They ignore the wrong prophets at the wrong time. It's like they ignore, uh, Jeremiah, Isaiah. Jeremiah was really rejected, and he was told of the demise of, so it goes on. But they rejected him just like I've been rejected. And for all the right reasons, like merchandising got me more rejected than anything did. And the lies, and I'm talking about outright lies mixed together with a little bit of truth, which took it completely out of its origin, uh, the whole thing. And they did it on purpose over and over again. I've got it documented. And so it is hilarious. I didn't laugh a few years ago. I'm laughing now. But okay, so Bin Laden is the image of the person I want you to think about when you think about Russia and China. He was he was an amazing man with money and intelligence. You think China and Russia don't have some intelligence? Russia is really good at planning and strategizing. China, and you put them and Iran together, all their leadership and all their stuff. Are you kidding me? The scenarios I gave would probably make it look, like nothing. That we wake up one day and we have no electricity, we have no nothing, we have no gas, we have nothing. It's in a dead of winter. People are going to freak out, have no lighting, have no nothing. All their food starts going bad. They can't even go buy anything. You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. This is why Iran going down is God's plan for establishing the second system that Trump will finish. That's going to be activated in September 2026, coming up 6 months from now. Pray that we make it. I mean, I know we're going to make it. The Iran regime is going to go down. Nope, I don't even doubt that. But what I'm struggling with is the delays and all the trouble that they try to do to get our economy to crash. That's what I'm concerned about. And they're not going to be able to crash it completely because we're already got the laws passed, and and we can we can start it even earlier. Remember, I talked about this before. Some of you might remember if you listen that I said maybe we can get Trump to, instead of September, like maybe in May, which is like right now. Y'all remember that? I said, wouldn't it be nice if we moved it up to May? I even asked, through my way of asking, can you move it up to May? That's what I did. I asked him. I did it right here on this show. May, June, July. Can you please move it up at least to there? I know it doesn't seem like much. Remember that? I said those words exactly, precisely. People listening? Not really. Not really. It's hard to listen to the future. It is hard to listen to the future, especially when it comes to this stuff, which looks impossible, looks crazy. But thank God, Trump does have an unction about him where he does listen. The three words, I already told you this several times, the three words, three major big words, global words that we've talked about, of the end times words. He's bringing those things either in the process of bringing them to pass or it's already brought them to pass. The Iran word is already pretty well on the road. That's why I brought up their strategy of China and Russia. That's why I brought that up. I didn't want to put fear in people. So now I can talk about that more freely. This thing with the system, I've been concerned about that. So if you haven't listened to that, maybe go back and listen to it, or listen to the future. Listen a little bit better in the future. maybe maybe go back and listen to the show once in a while, and or ask some questions about it when I bring it up and say, can you explain that again? And I would be glad to explain it again for the 50th time or whatever. Because not everybody's heard it, right? Not everybody's heard it. So I understand it. And I'm not jumping on anybody for not listening at all. I'm just saying that Tanisha says a good old fashioned book burning. Yeah, exactly. I mentioned that to Mike and Cindy Jacobs one time because, when we started having a riff about our, the book thing, and she told me, the reason they get their money up front is because they don't trust people to pay them after they read the book. That is, we're not going to pay them. And all the work that they do, she said, all the work they go through. It's a lot of work, but we're not in the book selling business. We're in the giving of Jesus business. So she said it to me, and so we had a little bit of riff about that. And so I said to Mike Jacobs one time, I get a little bit crazy. So I said, yeah, I have a book burning, just like what I told y'all tonight about the bonfire. I said, we're going to burn all the books. And he said, and he got this big look in his eye, like, burn all the books? Like we're going to burn all the Christian books, like the Bible? I wasn't saying the Bible. I was saying the books that you guys are selling to make your money, to live, that books. But he tried to make it look like I was saying, oh, you're going to burn Bibles now, huh? And go like, he turned out to be quite a little corker, to say the least. I'm going to be nice. But, yeah. So they've lied to I don't want to go there. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go there. Woo, Jesus. Yeah. I mean, yeah. All right, y'all. It's 9:39. If nobody has any questions for me about this particular portion of our get together, our ministry time, our Bible reading time, which I did do a little bit of Bible reading tonight. At least I quoted some scriptures to you. Last night, I don't think I quoted any scriptures. I can't remember. But sometimes I just tell stories and, parables, I guess, whatever you call them. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So bring those questions in. I know not everybody's probably awake right now. You never know. If you have, maybe you don't have any questions, we say, can you talk about this, whatever thing, one more time? I would be glad to talk about it one more time to make it clear, So if you just want me to talk about something, make it a little bit clearer, I will be glad to do that for you. Maybe ask a question that somebody else might ask. Maybe you already know the answer, but maybe not, whatever. I love to answer questions because it tells me what people are thinking, so I can help bring the answers possibly to that. All right, so nobody asks any questions and nobody gets on the line to talk. we will probably call it a night tonight. Talked about the dollar tonight, in case you missed it, and what's happening with the dollar right now, how the dollar inflation, we look like our dollar is doing really good, doing better since the oil crisis. Gold and silver has gone down, a bit, but it's been going down because of this. But the dollar's been going up. When the dollar goes up, that goes down, and so that's not going to last long. But it's a little crazy right now. But the problem is that even though the dollar looks like it's higher and doing better, we have inflation kicking in because of high gas. That's already kicked in. It hasn't been registered where we can read it out and know the numbers. But right now, inflation is higher, not lower, higher. And so that's because the dollar is up and looking better, but we have high gas prices, pretty high gas prices. And if that continues, as Trump knows, he's trying to turn it around temporarily at least. He knows that that is not good. When the dollar looks good for this reason, it holds up, it is not good at all. At all. Okay. If you have trouble understanding that, let me know. Maybe some people don't understand what that means exactly. Uh, so maybe we can help you understand that. If, all right, I realized I didn't have my microphone in properly. Okay, I'm back. I plugged them in and I didn't have them out. All right, so I don't know if you could hear what I just said, but my microphone is down in my shirt. Okay, so we talked about some very important. We talked about the dollar tonight. I'm repeating in case you didn't hear that. We talked about the dollar tonight and how that it's looking better, but it's not really better because we have high gas, which creates inflation, which creates the two things together creates stagflation. If it persists for a couple of months, we'll be looking at stagflation, and that is not good. All right, it can all get turned around. It's going to get turned around. Iran's going to be taken down. The regime will be taken down, and it will happen because the word of the Lord says it would. We don't even have to pray about that. We pray about what the dollar does in between time. That's what we pray about. Okay. All right. Anybody else got anything to ask or anything to say? Maybe you got some good ideas. Maybe you got some interesting things going on in your head that you're not sure about. You're afraid to ask. So don't be afraid to ask anything. Uh, no matter how silly it sounds. Okay. Yes, we can hear you fine. Thank you, Anya, for that. All right, y'all. It's been a good night. You know, I talked about the Bin Laden thing a little bit. I hope you were able to hear that okay. The Bin Laden situation is very similar to the planning and the money and the strategy of how they stuck into the U.S. and took down some of our most precious buildings, biggest, most, uh, had more global companies and banks and different things in that building. Uh, wow, it's amazing. Yeah, hang on a second here. All right. Do a little research on Bin Laden. You're going to find out that he was Al Qaeda, of course. which is Islamic people, uh, took down the World Trade Center. Um, uh, okay, here we go. All right, right. That's really cool. All right, y'all. We're trying to check out a couple of things here while we're looking around. Um, all right, I guess that's it for me tonight, y'all. It's been really great. Uh, like I said, we talked about a couple of new things tonight about the dollar. What's happening with that? That's the main thing I want to talk about tonight. Also, revisiting the what's happening with what the China Russia plan was, just like Bin Laden had a plan. So today, uh, world dominance is what they want, and Trump is stopping that over there, and God's using him to do it. So we talked about that again a little bit, and some other things. All right, so that's it for me tonight. Nobody's raising their hand or wanting to visit tonight, so we're going to call that a night. All right, if nobody has anything real quick. All right, everyone, that's it. Nobody else responding, so we will call it a night. All right, been great hearing from you guys, and thanks for people texting me. Let me see if I got any text. Uh, Angela says, Randy, have you heard 1,500 farmers lost their land in 2025 and they are upset that no one is talking about and people should stock up? And China owes about 384 acres, owns 384,000 acres in America. Oh, there, I just saw that. Sorry about that. Uh, all right. I just saw that. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, let me read that again. Angela from South Carolina says, Hi, Randy. Have you heard 15,000 farmers lost their land in 2025 and they are upset that no one is talking about it and people should stock up? And China owes about 384,000 acres, owns 384,000 acres in America. I don't know how much they own. That's interesting. We'll look into that. Farmland. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Farmers lost their land. Yeah, farmland was taken. Interesting. Thank you for that information, Angela. No, I had not heard about that specifically. I do know that they have had problems with that. That China's been buying up land, and they're just going to have to try to stop China, just like they are stopping, the Muslims, the Muslim Brotherhood from buying property and land. They need to deal with that right up front, and maybe they have. I don't know if they've dealt with that or not yet, but there's a lot of things going on. You know, the fact that China has been buying up that land tells you that they got strategy. They all got strategy. They're working their strategies together. Believe me, they have a plan just like Bin Laden had. That's why I brought him up tonight. 911 was that he took down the Pentagon also too. Remember that Pentagon? That was a major strike, a Pentagon, where war is decided upon. The Pentagon. He also hit the Pentagon. So I mean, to be able to do all that stuff was an amazing thing. I mean, you have to think about this. And China and Russia doesn't think like that, and Iran doesn't think like that. Are you kidding me? They all think like that. Every world leader thinks about what world can they take over and rule. You see it with all the guys in the Old Testament, all the conquerors. All the conquerors. They all think about conquering everything. That's what these guys think like. They think I'm going to save the world. I'm going to help the world. I'm going to conquer the whole world. They all think like that. So to think that you don't, people have a hard time believing that they're actually doing that is they're just as duped as we were on 911. All of a sudden, America's finest buildings in New York City were taken down, and that took a lot of work to do that. That was an amazing strategy. And then the Pentagon, hitting the Pentagon, yeah. So this is what Trump. I keep trying to say this stuff because I want you to know this is what God is using Trump to do, and taking down the Iran regime. So we know it's going to go down. We pray that it goes down smoothly and efficiently. And like I said already tonight, they already have Reza Pahlavi, the new transition leader, already taking cities and getting in there and organizing, and they're doing it. They're working at it. The Iranian people are rising up. They're literally got some leadership. They got some help from the U.S. They got some help from Israel. They got some help from Mossad. They got drones that are going in there protecting the people that are trying to rise up. They got drones that watch them really closely. And if the Iranian regime tries to start killing them again, the drones are killing them. Yeah, the drones are killing the killers. So they're pretty well, things are going along pretty good, but it's a big job. And I'm not going to tell you anything else other than that. It's a big, big job. And PGN is right in the middle of it prophetically. Trust me, more than you know. More than you know. A lot more than you know. And we'll find out soon. We'll find out soon. Okay. So that interesting. All right. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you, Angela. I almost missed that text. Pray for Shalonda. Okay, she said no problem. All right, thank you for that. I did. Sometimes I don't check my phone. I look for everything. People to raise their hand or to get on the YouTube or Facebook or whatever. But it all works together, so it's all happening. All right. All right, so that's it for me tonight. So good night tonight, everybody. And I'm glad I brought the Bin Laden thing up. I didn't get into the details about it tonight. I just want to make it simple to get you to understand that this is very easy to comprehend the fact that Bin Laden did that, and the CIA didn't have a clue. I guess they never, unless they were in on it. I don't think they were, but I don't know. But that it happened is just boggles the mind, and don't think that's the last time stuff like that can happen. Trust me. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.